Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and we are going to learn about content creation. How are you going to create some content that markets your brand and get your message out there without feeling like an advertisement? So that is the focus of this lesson here today. So content marketing is essentially a marketing technique of creating and distributing relevant and valuable content to attract, acquire, and engage the audience. It's really important to remember that this is supposed to feel like the customer's getting some value through this content, and it's not just an advertisement trying to sell them a product. All right. Customers are really savvy at being able to pick up what's an advertisement and what's not. Content marketing blurs the lines between those two. So content is a way to build a brand. If you generate content that is linked to your brand, then your customers will, start to link your brand with that content. You can communicate your message with customers. It allows your customers to know about your brand a little bit more, gain knowledge about your brand. So by providing valuable and relevant data, a website can be a resource for customers and potential customers. For example, let's say, I run a publishing company online, right? Some of the content that I might want to develop for my business would be articles on how to keep yourself organized while you're writing a manuscript, or articles about how to, find publishing companies online that can help you publish your manuscripts, things like that. So this is content to help people, but it also leads them into using your service as well. So great content gives a company a way to communicate with customers without trying to sell them something, right? We're not trying to sell them something. We're just trying to give people some valuable content they can interact with, and that allows them to kind of link your brand with quality content. This also allows you to build a relationship with your customers. If you're providing them good information or entertainment for free, then they tend to associate your brand with the good feelings they get from reading that article or watching that video or, laughing at that meme or whatever, right? So types of content. So emails, emails that rely on content that give them information. These are not read very, very often, especially if it looks like it's spam. People get rid of it. Spam is really email that's sent to someone who's not requested that content. So you want to kind of stay away. Email marketing is fine, especially if it's a blast out of your entire mailing list and you're blasting out a promotion. But emailing content out to people, they're just not going to read it. Opt-in emails. It basically allows people to request contact or request information from a company. That people would have to go to your website, sign in, get onto your mailing list. Opt-out emails. It's the ability for customers to not get emails anymore, right? It's the process allowing customers to request that you stop sending them information. List serve. This is something that's not used as much anymore, but these are opt-in mail services. Basically, they just analyze email marketing for companies. So let's talk about the real kind of content that you're really going to want to focus on. Blogs. Blogs are heavily used. They're still used a lot today, and they've just kind of morphed into articles that don't really feel like blogs. Blogs used to be a way for people to, so the people who used to blog back in the day, they're now creating YouTube channels or TikToks, or, they have an Instagram account where they post all the details of their lives. Blogs used to be a way for people to personally write about their experiences, like online journals almost. But then blogs kind of, became, as they became more focused on specific contexts, they started becoming, websites with just a bunch of articles about a specific thing, right? And that's kind of what they've become now. Now you'll see plenty of websites that are dedicated to just writing articles on a regular basis about a specific niche of the market. So if your website is about video games, then you might have a video game article every 2 weeks or so, or every week and a half or every week, whatever the frequency is, where you're writing about video games. And that is technically a blog. Social media. So we are all pretty familiar with social media at this point. Most businesses have some kind of social media presence. Now, most social media for business purposes is just kind of generally ignored. I don't know anybody who follows companies on social media unless the person managing that social media company or that social media for that company is especially entertaining, right? I'm thinking of the Wendy's fast food chain, right? The person who runs their social media account is hilarious, constantly poking fun at themselves, at their competitors, getting into little fights with people online. It's funny. It's hilarious. I don't know how much that makes me want to go eat a Wendy's hamburger, but it's fun to watch that stuff all the same. Video content is huge, right? Especially now that we have the services that allow us to easily host video online. Your company can create video tutorials about certain things that are related to your product, or the top 5 best whatever kinds of videos that people will interact with. Again, video is a good way to create some content that isn't directly marketing to your customers, but it makes them associate your brand with what they're interested in. Infographics. So these are pictures with a bunch of data on them, but the data is represented in a way that is really interesting to look at, right? I'm sure you've seen these all over the place, especially if you're scrolling through something like Reddit and you see, a picture that has, a graph and some charts and stuff about something, about an interesting thing. Infographics are really a really nice way to present a bunch of hard to understand data in an interesting and easy to understand way. Lists. Usually lists will be either developed through blogs or through video, but list-based content is really popular online. So there are some websites that dedicate their entire website. All of the content on their website is list-based, right? Like top 10 vacation spots for lepers, or 5 spookiest places in Utah, or whatever it is, right? The top 5 or top 10 lists are really, really interesting, especially videos of top 5, top 10, top 20, whatever. This is what I personally, I watch a lot of like top 5, top 10 videos. They're pretty fun. Podcasts are incredible ways to get a message out to customers. More people are listening to podcasts every day. These are essentially just digital video or audio files, part of a series that can be downloaded from a website or directly onto your media player. I have a podcast app on my phone. I have like 5 or 6 podcasts I'm subscribed to, and I listen to them periodically as I have time, right? I'll put on some headphones, listen to a podcast as I'm, kind of moving around the house, cleaning up the place. I love podcasts. They generate a ton of entertaining content, but they can also generate informational content, and sometimes at the same time. And, if your brand lends itself well to developing podcasts, then, that would be a great thing to look at. For example, my business, right? Rectangle Press. I could create like a new writers podcast where, we do a 10 or 15 minute episode every week talking about some aspect of how to, develop your own manuscript, and each week can be focused on a different subject. One week can be outlining your manuscript. Another week could be how to develop plot. Another week could be how to develop characters in an interesting way. So that's all content that's leading people to think about my brand, and hopefully they would publish with me whenever they finish their project. How-to guides. How-to guides can be lengthy and detailed, or they can actually be succinct. But basically, these are things that teach people how to do something. Now, again, these can be in article formats. These could be a video. I watch a lot of how-to videos on YouTube. Whenever I'm trying to do something new that I've never done before, I'll watch a video on YouTube that shows me how to do something. These are essentially tutorials, right? Write something or create something that teaches someone how to do something that is related to your business, right? Memes. I mean, do I really need to tell you what memes are? Probably. So these are usually funny, right? Images, video, text, etc., that are copied and can be reproduced, sometimes with slight variations, and they spread rapidly on the internet using social media sites, things like that. Now, memes aren't just funny content. Memes can be political arguments or whatever. I mean, essentially, memes are really any idea someone has that can change and adapt over time every time it's reproduced. But we've kind of just started focusing our definition of the word meme on stuff that you share on the internet. It's really hard to create viral memes. It's really tough, right? They have to meet the perfect amount of humor. It has to be wide enough for a big enough audience to understand them, or general enough for a big enough audience to understand them, but also kind of targeted to the specific sense of humor of the people you're trying to. It's really difficult to create memes that are going to give someone some relevant content, but also direct them back to your brand. I see companies try to do this all the time, especially in advertisements, and it always comes off as kind of corny and clunky. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Most often it doesn't, in my opinion. But, give it a shot. Images. Basically, pictures. This is, an image is a picture that's in digital or electronic form. That's just a type of content. Newsletters. Almost every business has a newsletter. I mean, Utah Military Academy, we have a newsletter. And it's basically just a periodical 1-page or 2-page kind of like a newspaper that we send out to people that gives them information, updates about upcoming events or changes to policies or whatever. You're probably going to have a newsletter. Webinar. These are seminars or presentations. Usually they're live. You record them live and people can join the webinar live. And then you have a recording of that webinar hosted as a video somewhere else. I watch a lot of webinars for things like Unity, right? When I'm developing video games, sometimes there'll be a webinar on some subject that I'm interested in, and I'll watch the webinar, and it's like a 2-hour webinar, and it walks you through how to do this new thing or use this new tool. Webinars are pretty cool. So, tactics for good content. Content must be original, all right? If you're trying to copy somebody else's content, first of all, that's unethical. And second, it's going to be really hard to find content that's just ripping off somebody else's, right? You want your original content to be there because it's easier to find original content online through search engines. Quality content over quantity, okay? Don't just blast out a ton of stuff if it's not good, right? You might think, hey, I can write an article every day and just have a new article every day on my website. After a couple of weeks, you're going to start running out of ideas. And once customers get used to that frequency, a new article every day, your quality is going to start dropping off, right? Quality over quantity. Create a good headline for the content. Sometimes this is called clickbait, right? Where the headline is incredibly, boisterous and loud and, doctors hate him, this one simple trick, blah, 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 right? That's clickbait. Try to avoid clickbait as much as you can. I've seen people use clickbait headlines effectively, basically ironically making clickbait to kind of make fun of clickbait. But again, it's clickbait, so it gets people to click on it. I've seen people do that kind of stuff before and it works. You have to have the right kind of brand identity in order for that to work for your content. But good headlines try to get people excited about interacting with your content. give them something, right? Give them something important. Provide answers or solutions to problems. Give them something entertaining. Give them something, that they're going to take away from that, right? Always add some kind of visual component. Even if you're writing a blog, there has to be pictures throughout to make it interesting, right? Don't just tell me about something, show me something, right? People kind of get bored if it's just a wall of text and there's no images for them to look at. Use keywords in your posts to help with search engine optimization. Search engine optimization is essentially everything that you post online should be optimized so that it can be found easier with search engines. So whenever I type in something in Google, if I'm trying to learn how to, make banana bread, right? And I go to Google and I type banana bread recipes. Your article about how to bake banana bread should have banana bread recipe somewhere in your keywords for that content. Update content as much as possible. Now, remember in the last slide, I said quantity over quality or quality over quantity. Now I'm saying update your content as much as possible. So these may seem like they're contradictory, but they're not. As much as possible, meaning you have content ready whenever it's ready. If you're just developing content just to develop it and there's nothing interesting or meaningful for your customers to interact with, that's not good. But you also don't want to put out one article per year and just let it sit there, right? You want to have some kind of frequency where you're developing new content periodically, right? Make sure the content you're developing is credible. Don't put out there, don't lie to people and don't give them content that's not relevant to what they're looking for. Don't give them content that is dubious. Like maybe you're kind of making some stuff up. Don't do that, right? Make sure it's credible information and real information. Find a way to make your site content more valuable than other sites' content. So if you have customers out there doing relatively the same thing, take a look at what they're doing and think about what you would do differently from them to make it more interesting, to make it better than what they're doing. And this is huge. Eliminate spelling and grammar mistakes, broken links. Don't put a bunch of ads on your page. We're going to talk about that next week, I think. Don't overload them with a bunch of frustrating content. For example, for me, when I see something that's been misspelled or I see terrible grammar or bad punctuation, I immediately assume that this isn't professional. I immediately assume that the article I'm reading hasn't been edited properly. They're probably just putting out content quickly and not really evaluating whether or not they're communicating well. And I start thinking negatively about the content and the company that put it out there. Broken links are the same way. If I click on a link, if I'm, hey, that looks interesting, I click and it doesn't go anywhere, I start thinking, hey, whoever's developing this website or, managing, curating this content, they're not doing a very good job. So going viral, let's talk about viral, right? Everybody wants to go viral online, right? Essentially what this means is that you become popular by circulating a meme or an article or a video very quickly from person to person through the internet. This is rare, right? There's no formula for success for going viral. Who knows what's going to happen, right? It could be a video of a dog farting on a baby, and then that becomes like the most popular thing in the world. And then in the next week, it's somebody's makeup tutorials online. Who knows, right? Who knows what's going to go viral? You can't control it. You can't make it happen. You just got to put out quality content and hope it gets picked up by the right people and spread around quickly. Now let's talk about how to spread content and some things that are going to help you to try to, expand your customer base. So positive content is more viral than negative content. Now, it may seem like, oh, wait, everything I see online is just negative stuff, people being angry at each other. Some social media platforms, they focus more on promoting negative content because they know that people interact with content that is more negative. If I make you angry, you're more likely to interact with it in a community way. But for a business, we don't want to make customers angry. We want to produce positive content that is going to associate positive feelings toward us, right? If the content evokes emotion, it's more likely to go viral. Now, this sounds cynical, right? It sounds like I'm saying, hey, get those waterworks going, make your customer cry, make them feel emotions, and then it's going to go viral. But this is just a standard rule for really anything. If you're making a movie or a video game or, writing a book or whatever, I mean, emotions tend to drive content, right? And so if you can make your customer feel something, then they're going to be more likely to want to share that with other people. Useful content gets shared. If your content is useful, if it's the one article that I can find online that helps me to fix this one thing that I cannot fix and I can't find it anywhere else, then I'm going to promote that content as much as I can because it's useful and it's specific and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. People also love visual links to content. Those blue underlined text hyperlinks, those don't get clicked on very much anymore, right? People like to click on pictures or buttons. Just think about that whenever you're developing your content. Sharing your content on something like Reddit or Instagram or, Facebook or whatever, have some visual component with that link to bring people into that content. All right, that's pretty much it for content development. Get out there, make some fun, interesting, awesome content, and I will see you next time.